Hi guys, I'm Sergio Torres, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to properly use, maintain, and repair 5 different types of workout equipment. Now before we get started, a quick little disclaimer. 2 of the pieces of workout equipment that I'm going to show you today I don't personally own, so for those I am just going to go ahead and pop up a picture of those along with some other helpful graphics onto the screen to help give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. But with that, let's get right into it, guys. Alright guys, so the first piece of equipment we're going to go over is a concept drawer. Now this is a pretty simple piece of equipment to use. To use it properly, you're just going to sit down on the seat, which is located right there on the track, and then place your feet on the feet rest, making sure they are bent when you sit down. And then you're also going to strap your feet in onto the footrest, make sure they're nice and snug, so that way they don't slide off or you don't push off too hard and they release. Once all that is done, you're going to go ahead and take hold of the handlebar, and once you have that in your grip, you are simply going to unbend your knees as far back as possible, pushing yourself back and pulling the handlebar with you, pulling it as close to your chest as possible. Once you've done that, you are simply going to bend your knees again, easing up a little bit, and let the handlebar pull you forward once again, leaning forward once you get all the way to the front, and you will have completed a rep properly on the concept drawer. So in terms of maintenance, this is a pretty simple machine to keep, maintain for longevity. The only real maintenance you have to do is making sure it is properly cleaned and oiled. So after or before each time you use it, you are just going to take a simple rag, maybe some disinfecting wipes or some soapy water, and just wipe everything down, especially the seat and the track which the seat runs along. That could sometimes get bumpy if there is a dust buildup, or sometimes from the sweat it'll start to clunk up and it won't allow the seat to move properly along the track. Just like I said, take a towel or a rag and just clean that off, put some oil on there to make it sure it runs smoothly. Same thing with the handlebars. It is attached to a wire. Just simply pull the handlebars out as far back as possible, grab a towel or a wipe with some oil and just hold it to the chain and make sure the wire for the handlebars just runs smoothly through it to ensure a full lubrication of the wire. Now in terms of repairs, there's not many repairs that do occur or are needed for a concept drawer. The most common types though are loose screws or unsteadiness due to the legs. To repair those, just simply step on one of the legs, give it a little shake. If you notice a wobble, just grab a screwdriver and tighten the necessary screws. Some other repairs that may be done is some dust in the flywheel. If that is the case, just like I said, make sure you clean it off to avoid any clunking up of dust. And as well as the monitor, just make sure the monitor is up to date with all the software updates, and make sure the batteries are changed. So moving on, guys, the next piece of equipment we're going to be taking a look at is both the Rogue bike and the Keeser bike. Now these two are very similar in the way they are operated safely. As you can see, it's pretty much like any other exercise bike. You are simply going to take a seat on the seat, place your feet firmly on the pedals, and then get a good hold of the handlebars, and then you're just going to simply start pedaling as you would a normal bike. Now, as you notice, there are a few differences between the Keeser and the Rogue bike. For example, on the Rogue bike, the handlebars do move in order to allow you to get your upper body involved in your workout. In the Keeser bike, they are stationary. However, it doesn't make too much of a difference, especially in terms of maintenance. For maintenance for both of these bikes, similar to a lot of other equipment we're going to go over, it's simply keeping it clean and wiping it down before and after each use. Just as I mentioned earlier, with a rag or a disinfecting wipe, maybe some soapy water, just wipe everything down. Make sure you get all the dust off to avoid any clumping or any buildup of dust to prevent blockage in the future. Now, in terms of maintenance or repairs, there's not too many repairs that are needed for these types of equipment. These two bikes are very sturdy. However, the biggest repair that you might have to make is calibrating both of them. They are adaptable in order to give you a certain amount of resistance. For each one, it is a little bit differently, but for the most part, both of them do come with a calibration tool and as well as an instruction manual. You will just simply follow those in order to better adjust the calibration of the bikes to adjust the resistancy and adjust it for whatever other levels you would need to. Alright guys, so the next piece of equipment I'm going to show you is a cable machine. Now cable machines vary depending on the maker, the model, and the purpose of them, but for the most part they are very similar, at least in terms of usage and maintenance. So really quick, I'm just going to show you how to properly use the cable machine. So all cable machines are going to have a set of weights either on the back or on the side, and at some point of it you're just going to pull out the bar and then you're going to set it to your desired weight. Make sure it's all the way in, and so that way it doesn't slide out halfway through. And then depending on the machine, as I said, some may do different actions, but how they work is you're just going to do the action of your choosing, make sure you're firmly planted, and then as you can see, once I start performing the exercise, the weights will move along the bars as they are being pulled by the cables, which is why they are called a cable machine. Now, in terms of maintenance, the best way to perform maintenance on this is simply making sure you are disinfecting it and checking it every time you use it. So for these, you want to start off checking the upholstery, get a nice towel, make sure you're wiping everything down, disinfecting everything so that way the upholstery stays very well intact, as well as dusting off the dust just to make sure there's no rust forming or anything else. Now, after you disinfect it, another good thing to check is to check that the bars are properly oiled, so that way the weights don't get stuck on them, they don't stick, they don't break, doesn't cause any further damage. If they are a little bit dry, you can go ahead and just grab another towel, like I said, put your lubricant or whatever you're going to put on there, and then just slide it across the bars to help give it a bit more movement. Now, in terms of repairs, guys, too, the biggest repair that often occurs is going to be with the cable. Often after a lot of usage, there's going to be some maybe micro tears or maybe a little bit of tarnishing on the cable. So that's another piece of maintenance. You're going to want to make sure, just check each wire carefully, making sure there is no tears, no rips or anything. And if you do happen to come across on a tear or something in the wire, you're simply just going to want to follow the instruction manual, unscrew the screws wherever the part is needed, and then take out the cable and before changing it out for a brand new one in order to do those repairs and keep your machine working properly. Alright guys, so the next piece of equipment I'm going to show you is a treadmill. Now a treadmill is one of the most common types of workout equipment, so I'm sure a lot of us know how to use one. However, I'm still going to go over how to properly use it just in case one of us doesn't know how to properly use it. And also just keep in mind, some machines, some treadmill machines are made differently, some vary, but for the most part they are pretty much the same. So firstly, in order to turn it on, you are simply going to just press the start button, and as you can see, it will turn on the screen. Now, my machine does have this little safety clip that you do clip to yourself. This is very standard for most machines. This is just in case you fall off while working. All this is a little magnet. If you happen to fall off, you simply pull on it or your force will pull it off and it'll automatically shut off the machine. Like I said, that is a very standard part of most treadmills. But once you have that on, you are simply going to select the speed and incline of your choice. As I said, some machines might have preset programs and different stuff, but you can just go ahead and select whatever speed, and as you can see, the treadmill will start moving, and you can go ahead and adjust the speed during your workout. It'll keep track of your calories, your time, your distance, all that good stuff. Once you're done, you're just going to go ahead and hit the stop button, and it'll stop. Very simple stuff, guys, but had to go over it. Now, nextly, we're going to go over some maintenance. Now, the best way to keep your treadmill going for a long time is simply making sure that it is clean first off. So again, get a clean towel, a cleaning wipe, disinfecting wipe, clean it all off as often as possible. But the next biggest step to keeping your treadmill going for a long time is making sure it is well lubricated. Making sure it's lubricated, just simply make sure that there's not as much friction on between the belt and the gears, because if there is, it's going to start wearing down the belt and it's not going to last you a very long time. Now, lubricating the belt is not very difficult. All you're going to want to do is loosen the belts from both hinges. And then once you do that, you're going to have a little bit of slack. As you can see, I can raise this up a little bit. From there, you're just going to apply your lubricant. There is liquid lubricant and also powdered one, but you're just going to apply that. Make sure you get it as far in as possible. If you have the powder one, which is the one I recommend, you just draw a line on both sides, lift it up as much as you can, and then just blow into it to make sure it gets as far into the center as possible. Once you have it well lubricated, just run it on a low setting for a little bit, let that lubrication spread, and making sure that there is full coverage. Now, after that, guys, in terms of repairs, the most common repair that you're going to have to do with a treadmill is going to have to deal with a loose belt. So say your belt is loose, as I just showed you mine is. I loosened it to give that demonstration. The only repair you really need to do is just go in and tighten both gears, both at the front and the back, and run on it. And then once you let it run for a little bit, step on it lightly, see if there is still some gaps, some looseness in it. If there is, just go back, tighten it a bit more until you feel that it is at the desired rate. Alright guys, and then the final piece of equipment I'm going to be showing you how to use are loose weights. Now, loose weights are once again one of those very common and very popular type of workout equipment, simply because there's so much variety and different stuff you can use them for. For example, you can use them on adjustable dumbbell weights, or you can also use it on a bar. You can set whatever weight you want. They make them in 10s, 25s, and 45s as well as 5s. And there's just a lot of variety, so that's why they are very popular. And as well, they are very simple to use. You're just going to take whatever bar you're going to use them for, and you're just going to slide them on. Now, one quick note that is very important to keep in mind when using these guys is that whatever weight you put on one side of the bar, you have to make sure the other side is balanced exactly the same way as the other one. The slightest bit of imbalance is going to mess up your entire workout, so that is a very important thing to keep in mind. But once I have those on there, I'm just going to go ahead and put this clamp on here, make sure they are nice and tight as well. Last thing we want is for them to be loose and then they're popping out and falling on your foot or hurting someone or damaging another piece of equipment. But as you can see, I'm just tightening these ones real quick, and just like that, the dumbbell is done. If I want to, I can add more weight. I can use this as it is. Whatever the case is, they are very simple to use, once again, as I said, hence why they're very popular. Now, in terms of maintenance for loose weights, guys, these are, once again, very simple to maintain. The best way to maintain them is just keeping them clean between and after uses. Just, once again, like everything else in this video, grab a clean towel or a disinfecting wipe and just make sure you wipe up all that dust, you wipe up all that grease and sweat that could cause rust. And then once you do that, as long as you keep them clean and keep disinfecting them, they'll last you a very long time. They are made to last for a very, very long time. Now, guys, in terms of repairs, there's not many repairs you can do to loose weights. However, the most common type of repair that people do have to make is when they get very rusted. For example, here I have a very old, very rusted loose weight. I'm not sure how good the camera's picking up the rust, but believe me, it is very rusted. This is one of the weights I use just to add some extra support to my heavy bag. holder, so to me it's not a big deal. However, let's say we were to want to repair this for whatever reason. I want to use it on a bar or on a dumbbell. For whatever reason, the rust can be very damaging to the other equipment because rust will come off, it'll damage, spread the rust. It's just a very bad situation. So in order to repair this, guys, it's honestly not too hard. You're just going to get a bucket and then just get some, you're just going to get some vinegar as well as some water. Pour it in there. Make sure there's about a 50-50 ratio of water to vinegar. And then just let it sit overnight or as long as possible. And the reason for that is what is happening with that reaction is that the vinegar and water are working together to dissolve and remove that rust from the weight. So the longer you leave it on there, the better it will do at removing that rust. So when you finally go and take it out, you just gotta, once again, grab a towel, wipe off the remaining rust, and it should be pretty much good as new. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching.